For over 400 years, the elves of the First Age maintained a siege around the northern fortress of Angband. This ancient text recounts the front lines of that stalemate, a peace that has just been violently destroyed by the original Dark Lord, Morgoth. Reports flood into the court of the High King Fingolfin, and they are catastrophic. The highland region of Dorthonion has been overrun. His allies have been slaughtered or scattered, and the northern defenses have completely collapsed. Fingolfin has spent centuries as a cautious, vigilant guardian of his people. But this total ruin snaps his restraint. He is suddenly gripped by a rage so absolute that he sees no path forward through traditional kingship or military strategy. Believing the war to be lost and his people doomed, Fingolfin discards all tactical counsel. He decides to ride north alone, determined to bypass the Dark Lord's armies and settle the conflict through a single, personal confrontation at the gates of hell. Urgent, Fingolfin mounts his horse Rockallor and begins a solitary ride across the ash-choked plains of Dornu Foglith. He moves with such speed that those who see him describe a literal shooting star cutting through the dark. The king's eyes shine with the light of the Valar, and his presence is so radiant that the orcs and balrogs in his path flee in terror. They mistake him for the hunting god Orome, convinced that a divine power has come to exact vengeance. He reaches the brazen doors of Angband alone. He blows his horn, smashes his sword against the gate, and demands that Morgoth step out to face him in single combat. Fingolfin's voice rings out through the subterranean depths of the fortress. He names the Dark Lord a craven and a lord of slaves, shouting these insults loud enough for all of Morgoth's captains to hear. This creates a crisis for Morgoth. As the only power of his rank who knows the meaning of fear, he wants to refuse the duel. But with his lieutenants watching, a refusal would destroy his authority. To save face, he is forced to leave his throne and fight. Morgoth emerges from the depths. His footsteps are so massive that the earth rumbles like thunder before he even reaches the surface. He stands before the king like an iron-crowned tower. He is clad in black armor, carrying a shield so large and dark it casts a shadow like a storm cloud over the field. Beneath that shadow, Fingolfin stands in silver mail, his blue shield set with crystals. He draws his sword, Ringil, which glitters with a cold, icy light. The tactical dynamic is clear. This is a contest between overwhelming brute force and pinpoint agility. Morgoth only needs to land a single blow to end the fight. Fingolfin must rely on perfect, high-speed evasion to survive. Morgoth swings first, bringing down Grond, the hammer of the underworld. He swings it with the force of a thunderbolt. The hammer's impact is devastating, ripping open smoking craters. These blast radiuses overlap, rapidly turning the battlefield into a field of pits and fire. Fingolfin survives by treating them as obstacles, darting around the craters like lightning shooting from under a dark cloud. He manages to exploit Morgoth's slow recovery time, lunging inside the hammer's reach 7 times. With each strike, he carves a deep, agonizing wound into the Dark Lord. Morgoth, who believed himself untouchable, screams in pain with every cut. These cries of anguish carry through the Northlands. For the first time in history, the hosts of Angband watch their master bleed, and a wave of dismay ripples through the Dark Lord's ranks. But an elf's body is still a physical form bound by the laws of stamina. Even with his godlike speed, Fingolfin begins to grow weary as the duel stretches on. The terrain has also been systematically destroyed. The ground is now so pitted and rent by Morgoth's hammer that Fingolfin has no flat surface left for his mobility. Morgoth finally bears down with his shield. The physical pressure is immense, and for the first time, Fingolfin is crushed to his knees. 3 separate times the king is beaten down, and 3 times he forces himself back up, holding up a broken shield and a helm cloven by the Dark Lord's might. In the end, it is the terrain that decides the fight. Fingolfin stumbles backward, his foot catching in one of the pits created by the hammer. He falls, and Morgoth is over him instantly. This is the end of the physical duel. Even for the most powerful elf who ever lived, stamina is a finite resource, and eventually the sheer weight of a primal shadow becomes too much for any physical form to hold back. Morgoth pins the king to the earth, setting his left foot upon Fingolfin's neck with a weight like a fallen hill. But Fingolfin has one final, desperate move. With his last breath, he drives the sword Ringil into Morgoth's foot. Black, smoking blood gushes from the wound, filling the pits. Thus died the High King of the Noldor, remembered as the most proud and valiant of his race. But Morgoth's victory is hollow. The wounds from Ringil never heal, and the Dark Lord is left with a permanent limp and a pain that will never fade for the rest of his existence. Fingolfin sacrificed his life, but he achieved something the elven armies could not. He proved the Dark Lord bleeds, he can feel pain, and can be permanently scarred. It was a demonstration of courage that showed Middle-earth that even absolute evil is not invincible.